sponsoring this. We're thankful to CS Music. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just bragging on you guys. All right. So I just wanted to say that we are all going to make music live again very soon. And we are so thankful that the app is helping you stay in shape and prepared. I want to remind you that we put about 1,000 vocalises and exercises on there. There is so much rep that you can learn over the summer. So take advantage. Be ready that when we all get to hit the audition room and the stage again, we will all be in great shape. I want to just thank Nathan and Julie Gunn. You guys are amazing. We admire you so much. Thank you, Alex and CS Music. And as a sponsor, I just want to say we're behind you. Reach out to us. Info@Appcompanist is basically how you get Sherry and I and the small team of people that are making Appcompanist happen. So if you have questions or you need anything, reach out to us. Otherwise, enjoy this incredible masterclass. And thank you for the privilege of supporting you guys through this app.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Darren. Thank you. And thanks to Appcompanist for being the sponsor for this evening. And now with no further ado, I will introduce you to two incredible artists, Nathan and Julie Gunn, who, if I listed their accomplishments, we would never hear a singer tonight, because they are some of the most valuable performers and teachers in this industry, and I'm really excited for all of you to learn from them. So take it away, Nathan and Julie.
Thank you, Jody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening. We're in Champaign, Illinois, at our house, where we have been, like you have been, for a year and a half. But we live here in Champaign, and we are professors at the University of Illinois. We're wearing our matching track jackets to prove it. Where we are co-directors of Lyric Theater at Illinois, which is the group that mounts all of the opera and musical theater and that teaches all the skills involved with it. So that's a little bit about us. What would you like to talk about, Nathan?
Yeah, I've actually, this has been the first year I've been home for 12, well, mostly 12 months, and it's been great. I've seen things bloom that I thought were just weeds, and so I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit, and I've really loved being able to spend the year teaching and making all the necessary pivots to be able to allow our students to perform, even though everything was locked down and we had all sorts of different kinds of protocol. And of course, we're all very familiar with Zoom, and I remember 14 months ago, I had no idea what Zoom was.
That's true, we weren't. We've been saying we learned more this year than we've learned any other year.
And it's, you know, maybe I'm a person who likes to look for silver linings, but I think things like this, master classes like this, and other online venues, I guess you'd call them, have been able to really level the playing field for a lot of these young people that we'll hear today and that are out there graduating college right now or auditioning, because being able to audition online is a lot cheaper than flying to New York and staying in a hotel, which is really amazing and exciting. So we're really happy to be able to do this from the comfort of our own home.
So I'm sure you've all been at a lot of master classes. We will certainly not cover everything or even most things. We're going to strictly try to be 15 minutes per person. So we'll ask you to sing your song. Most of you will have like Appcompanist or somebody with you, and then we'll just pick one or two things to talk about. And we tend to, like, when one of us gets kind of in the weeds, the other one pulls them out. So that's how we
that's how we tend to work. It's a good healthy balance
in the rough.
Yeah.
So who's going to be first?
The first singer that we have is Renee De Giovanni, but I'm not seeing her name in the participant list. Renee, are you here? And are you?
Ma'am.
Okay.
I'm very sorry. Renee is my mother's name. My name's Mia.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry, but I'll post your information in the chat for everyone to see, and let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Mia De Giovanni. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I would like to sing "Where the Music Comes From" by Lee Hoybe for you.
Wonderful.
Is that good? May I start?
Of course.
Thank you. Let me just pull up my music. want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now. I want to be with the friends around me who have found me, who show me how. I want to wake to the early morning, see the sunlight melt the snow. I know I want to grow. I want to wake to the living spirit deep inside me where it lies. I want to listen till I can hear it. Let it guide me and realize that I can go with the flow unending, that is bending, that is real. And I want to feel. I want to walk in the earthly garden, far from cities, far from fear. I want to talk to the early garden, to the divas, to the deer, and to be one with the river flowing, breezes blowing, sky above.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. I
Well
can't
done.
hear if the piano's done. I can only hear you. But it's great.
I guess it's good that this isn't a piano masterclass.
Ah,
But it was obviously helping you.
Yeah.
So that's good. You have a beautiful voice and a really fresh, sweet spirit, and it was really a pleasure to hear. I want to talk just a little bit. This song that Lee Hoiby wrote has kind of like, it has a structure with the rhythm kind of goes like this. I want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now, right? And that kind of pattern goes on for quite a bit, right? And then at the end of maybe two or three of those, and then it kind of goes, and oh, something like that, right? And then there's three verses maybe. Anyway, so why do you think that Lee Hoiby chose to write that rhythm at the beginning? Dun, 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 like that.
Well, I kind of, in my mind, I kind of picture like the person is like literally doing what they're singing about. So they're like they're hanging out with friends, they're walking across like a field, they're looking at the sun, stuff like that. And then at the end, it's like they're experiencing all of these things, and then the O is like the release of all that joy.
Okay. And what makes the release happen?
I guess there's kind of like a build-up in the verse, I guess the repetition, and then it's because it's something different, the contrast emphasizes the O.
I think that's a great answer. So like the first time, I want to be with friends around me who have found me, who show me how. It's almost like you're struggling to come up with all the things. You want so many things, right? And you keep kind of speeding up how many things you want. I want to sing to you every morning, see the sunlight melt the snow. And maybe you get so full up of all these things that you have to make it simpler and bigger, right?
Yeah.
I guess I just want to grow, right? So let's go with your instincts. Make it exciting like that. Don't feel like you have to make it all da 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 da. You know, you can be where the music comes from, where it's something like that, and then it needs to build up so that at O you really go for it, and we feel that you're, be courageous.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And and this works. I think songs like this work great vocally as well, because I like to, and I've had a lot of time this year to spend with students that I have here at the University of Illinois. And one of the things I like to tell them is to, when you're singing either a song like this, or it works for almost any piece, when you're thinking about pitch, don't think about getting the pitch or trying to reach the pitch. Think of landing on it. Think of, and this is great because you're outside and the rhythm is kind of like you're skipping, having a good time. Da, 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 right? It's kind of like that. So when you take a breath in, and this helps technically as well, that it helps calm you down a little bit, because you've probably heard this before from your teacher. They, the sort of Italianate way of singing comes from a sigh and all that stuff. Well, if you actually sigh, it's not so much about going, oh, or whatever that is, right? It's not an opera sigh, it's an actual sigh, which is, it's that release. And when you release onto a pitch, if you think of pitch as like what they say in England for a soccer field or the thing where they play, you land on that pitch and then you play around with all those consonants and vowels, right? And so let yourself do that. Imagine taking a breath in, you land on that pitch and you get to play around with it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I understand what you mean.
You gotta try.
Maybe we can just give you the pitch. I don't know if you can hear it on my. Can you hear that? Just sing by yourself.
In the beginning. Okay. I want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now. I want to be with the friends around me who have found me, who show me how. I want to.
Okay, that's really, really good. Now try that thing I was telling you about. When you take a breath in, let yourself settle on it a bit. So instead of,
yes, sir.
I want to be, we want to see you, because it makes us feel comfortable too as audience members to see, instead of, I want to be, rather, I want to be where the music comes from, right? You want to get to that excited up. I want to be where the music comes from, where it's clock stops, where it's now. I don't know the song actually, but, never sang it. But try that. Take a breath in and enjoy it. Like you've taken a breath in and now you're running off into that very field and of joy you're
Don't
talking about.
hold anything, I think we're hearing a little bit, I want to, and we want to hear, I want to be.
Right. I mean, if you think about it in general, this song is about, if you had one word or two words, what is it? What are you trying to do? You're trying to think of a verb.
Live.
Okay. And part of living, you mean like in the now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in order to do that, you have to
enjoy life.
Right. And part of enjoying is letting go. Okay. So release, let it go. Take a breath in and sing. Singing is vibration and it's air flowing out of here, so it buzzes. Just let it go and enjoy it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here's the pitch again.
Thank you. I want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now. I want to be with the friends around me who have found me, who show me how.
Good. Okay. Yeah. One thing I like to do, and if we work together on a regular basis, you'd realize this, I stop a lot and I redo things. Because I feel like if you do one thing, one little thing that is the change you want to make, it feeds everything else and it grows into that. So I want you just from the very first line, which is I want to be where the music comes from, right? And we're singing music, so that's great. So release into it. Really take a breath and allow yourself to make a mistake. You'll be surprised that when you do that, you don't. It's like, do you play any sports?
Not really.
You ever played tennis or you thrown a ball around, right?
Oh yeah, yes. I've played sports before. Yes. Okay.
Well, let's just take I don't know, baseball or something. If you're throwing a baseball, right? Now you can have the best technique ever, right? You could wind up, you could have that body working just like it's supposed to work. But if you don't release the ball at the right time, it might go up, it might not go anywhere, it might go right into the ground. So I want your body's working great. I just want you to release into the sound. Take a breath and go.
Okay.
No holding back. It's not like singing isn't like, you know, a bow and arrow where you're releasing the arrow like that. You're actually letting go,
Okay.
right? So just,
Yes, sir.
I want to be where the music comes from, because mostly we want to be happy with you.
Thank
So
you.
be
Yes.
happy.
Yeah.
That's also the Addams Family pitches, by the way, too.
I want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now. I want to be with the friends around me who have found me, who show me how.
That's great. That's great, great, great. I want you to do one thing physically for me that might help. I want you to put your hands on your chest like this. And when you sing, I want to be where the music comes from, pull your elbows down.
Okay.
Just a little bit, because I don't want you to base it. I'm trying to keep you from doing this. I want to be where the music comes from. Okay,
Yes,
just
sir.
let it, because there are a lot of weird things in singing that are the opposite of what you're trying to do. When you take a breath in, this chest rises and your back fills up and all this stuff. And when the air leaves it, it all settles. So just like a sigh, do a sigh for me. Go. Right. You feel that release of muscles right before that happens? That happens every time you start to sing. And the wonderful thing about it is it gets your body to work well, and it also puts your head in the right place, which is, oh, I'm kind of happy. I feel good.
Okay.
All right.
Supposed to. Yeah.
Instead of this, ah.
Yes, sir. I want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now. I want to be with the friends around me who have found me, who show me how. I want to wake to the living spirit, see the sunlight melt the snow, and I want to grow.
Good, 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 good.
So Mia, I heard when you kept this peaceful, you know, I heard more personality the way you sang, where the music comes from. It didn't feel like, you know, you were freer. So can you just practice like maybe just on one pitch, like the G, just saying, I want to be where the music comes from, in the way that you, Mia, think it should go. Not too, don't worry too much about the rhythm. You've got the rhythm right. It's close enough.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to hear just all on a G with your hands nice on your chest. Take a good, comfortable breath. And then just there's something that stays the same, like the pitch and your body and the breath. And then all of these little muscles make the words in the way that you want to hoppy, skippy, make work, okay?
I want to be where the music comes from, where the clock stops, where it's now. I want to be with the friends around me who have found me, who show me how. I want to wake to the early morning, see the sunlight melt the snow, and oh, I want to grow.
That's really good. And you know, one of the things you'll start to notice when you get that kind of, and this is just, you know, one thing where.
Sorry to interrupt, but we do have about 1 minute left. Time's flying, so just FYI.
And so this one thing we're kind of talking about, which is the beginning of this idea of, well, it's the onset for singing, which is that release. When that happens, you'll start to notice other things. And I think you did. That all these muscles around here that you use to sustain sound, right, start to really become active. You'll notice it, because if those are working, then all these muscles can work independently to make all those words and all those different kinds of shapes that come out that express what we're feeling and thinking about as singers.
So that's for another day, but that's important thing to think about for all of us.
Yes.
It was a real pleasure to hear you sing.
Thank you for
Yeah, thanks
having me.
for coming out.
Yeah, the advice was great. I'll definitely work on all of that. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too. Have a lovely rest of y'all's night.
Thank you, Mia. Our next singer is Hugh Davis.
Hello, my name is Hugh Davis, and I will be singing Feierabend by Schubert.
Great. Okay, I'm going to mute myself so we can hear.
Hätt die Totenname zu rühren, könnt ich brausen ihre Höhen, könnt ich wehen durch alle Heide, könnt ich drehen alle Steine, dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn, dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn. Ach, wie ist mein Arm so schwach, was ich hebe, was ich trage, was ich schneide, was ich schlage, jeder Knabe tut mir's nach, jeder Knabe tut mir's nach. Und da seht ich in der großen Runde, in der stillen, kühlen Feierstunde. Und Herr Meister sagt zu allen, euer Werk hat mir gefallen, euer Werk hat mir gefallen. Und das liebe Märchen sagt, allen eine gute Nacht. Allen eine gute Nacht. Könnt die Totennamen zu rühren, könnt ich brausen ihre führen, könnt ich wehen durch alle Heide, könnt ich drehen alle Steine, dass die schöne Müllerin merkt an meinen treuen Sinn, dass die schöne Müllerin merkt an meinen treuen Sinn, dass die schöne Müllerin merkt an meinen treuen Sinn.
All right. Well done.
You really have spent a lot of time, either you speak German at home or you spent a lot of time thinking about it, because it's a very good job.
Spent a lot of time thinking about it.
Well, good for you. Nathan and I have spent a lot of time with this.
How old are you?
Ever since we were about your age.
I'm 22.
How old was I?
About
I
22.
think I was your age when I first sang the cycle. Yeah. You can live with it your whole life. It's great. Just enjoy it.
So we're interested, but I think the rest of the class might be interested too, to hear just who is this guy that you're singing? Where is he? And what's he worried about or feeling?
Yeah. What's all this tausend Arme zu rühren and
does he have 1,000?
dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn? Why does it get so sensitive? I mean, what's going on? Let everybody know why you chose the musical decision to make.
Yeah, my character, and I'll just say me, as I'll just prefer the character as I found myself obsessed with this woman that I have never even spoken to. This lady who I'm trying to impress, and in this, I almost said aria. It feels like an aria almost, because of how intense it is. In this song, I've just started my job as a Miller boy, and I'm trying to impress this lady by doing my job really well, which is the only thing I really know how to do, I think, is my character. Is oh gosh, this is.
How old do you think you are?
I think I'm my age. I think I'm 22. I've just left home. I'm a traveling Miller boy, and I'm going about Austria, and I'm traveling to see where I'm going to work, and I've just arrived to my first place. of work, and I've met this lady that I'm just infatuated with, and I think in this song I'm feeling a little bit like I'm getting Gaston vibes is what I think about when I'm singing this, and sort of excited, and I'm thinking a lot of myself in this moment. Like I'm hammering in the stones. I'm working very hard at the mill. I'm going to show her that I'm a great husband and yada yada yada. But there are moments where I am vulnerable. This is a very vulnerable character. These moments like where I'm saying, like, will she actually love me? Am I really being true to who I really am? Am I showing her who I really am just by showing that I work hard? I don't know. It's
Okay.
What about the other?
Do you-
the
do
other
you know-
guys around you too?
Do you know the whole cycle?
I don't know the whole cycle yet. No,
So-
I'm up to song 7. So
Okay, it'd be really worth, once you know that, or if you're reading through the poetry, you'll get a real clear idea about the place he is right now in this story. So the reason why he's so wild about this at this point is because he realizes he's less than everybody else around him. He wants to be strong, because if he were strong, he could get her attention. And just to be sure you realize this, she's not really a lady, right? The miller's daughter in those days it's kind of like the farmer's daughter in our English thing. She was there to amuse the men coming to grind their flour. So he is infatuated with a girl that isn't really of the highest moral standards, right? But he's young, and he thinks that her attention towards him that then is shifted to somebody else and to somebody else, he doesn't understand it, and he is infatuated with her and everything. He just thinks, if I could be strong like these other men. And you'll find out later there's a hunter involved in all of this, that's why he hates the color green.
mm-hmm.
And he calls himself an what is it, an Armaveisenmann or something
Yeah.
like that. And he calls himself a weak white man, not because he's white, but because he's covered in flour, right? So he's not the hunter, he works in the mill. So there are all these little things that really start to come into play when you sing this
But
song.
you can imagine that, so there's 3 different factors here in this song. There's the girl, there's the boss who comes in the middle. Good job, he says, and then there's also the other guys who don't speak, but that you're comparing yourself to. And whenever you go to a place that you're new, even if you might be wrong, but you think everybody has more experience than you do.
Yeah.
That's just how you feel when you're in those situations, so it doesn't matter if it's true, really. It's just how you're feeling about it. So what I noticed was a little bit that you had some really good ideas in all of these areas, but you don't have to be such a model of consistency as you are. Like, he can be full of courage one moment and then just sort of fall apart the next moment. Because I think that's kind of what Miller and Schubert are kind of trying to show.
I mean, the guy is taught, his best friend is a brook, and it talks to him. Don't forget that part. That's a little bit, right? That's a little weird. So the beginning is great. Hätte ich 1,000 Autos verlieren können, browsing Geräte, all that stuff. And then he says, "Das die schöne Miller merkte meinen Freund sind." Then you get the whole idea. Ach, wie ist mein Arm so schwach? I'm actually kind of weak. Was ich hebe, was ich trage, was ich schneide, was ich schlage, jeder Knappe tut mir's nach.
Everyone can do it as well as I can.
Yeah. So he's not special. And then you get to the part where you have that really beautiful, then the Miller guy, alles, euer Werk hat mir gefallen. Don't worry, you did a good job. And then the Miller maid talks, alle eine gute Nacht, is that what she says, or something like that? And then he says it again. Why does he repeat that? He must realize something.
Mm-hmm.
Das liebe Mädchen sagt alle eine gute Nacht. Alle eine gute Nacht. Why would he say it twice? She said it twice.
I think perhaps, it depends whether or not I, as a character, am saying it twice, or she says it twice in reality. But the fact that maybe that she would say it twice to me it's something for me to grasp, like, maybe I am special. And then I get right back to this moment of,
Okay, it could be, or maybe he, then he gets back in his head, he's tausend Arme zurufen, and maybe I could get her attention again. Could be. She says good night to everybody. She said good night to everybody, not just me, or something, right? It could be that. Then either way, head ich tausend. Then.
And one more thing about this, hätte ich, könnte ich, those first things at the beginning, hätte ich tausend Arme, könnte ich brausen die Rede, würde ich, könnte ich drehen. Those are all conditional or subjunctive or whatever. If I had, I wish I had, I wish I could.
Yeah.
And then he says, when he changes out of that tense, he goes, oh, my arm is so weak. And that's reality.
Yeah.
Wie ist mein Arm so schwach? Was ich hebe, jeder Knabe tut mir. That's the real thing.
Reality is he's weak, but he's like, if I could do this, if I could do that, if I could do this, she would be mine and she'd notice me.
And then he goes back into that after the Gute Nacht.
All right.
Then the piano goes back into it. You hear the millstones starting again. And then he's like, oh my God, I wish I could do this.
Yeah, so he's more of a poet at heart. We could talk about this song forever, but with those things in mind, why don't you start it again, okay? And have that idea that this is, for example, conditional tense. If I were this, if I were that, if I were such, she'd pay attention to me, but actually I'm.
Okay, we'll stop talking.
Go for it.
Hätt ich tausend Arme zu rühren, könnt ich brausen ihre Fühlen, könnt ich wehen durch alle Heide, könnt ich drehen alle Steine, dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn, dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn.
Okay, stop there real quick. So when you said dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn, that was really believable. The beginning is a little bit almost too confident, right? Remember, Schubert, when he presented these songs, he was presenting them in a room about the size you're in, or maybe probably certainly the one I'm in, to his friends, right? This is really chamber music, like literally room music. And the idea is to tell the story honestly. So forget about all the people you've heard sing it, all the history behind it, and imagine yourself, literally yourself, because it's honestly, the only way you're going to remember all the strophic. you gotta put yourself in it, right? Imagine yourself in this position. You're alone. Everybody else is around this fire, or they're taking a break or whatever. It's the end of the workday, and he's like, dang it. It's like he's walking away, kicking a stone, saying, if I were only this. He's not a singer, he's a miller, right? Yeah. So keep that in mind when you start.
So if you did this as a monologue, you would be like, if I only had 1,000 arms. But no one cares about the first half of that sentence so much in English, right? If I only had, you could even wait, like 1,000 arms. If I could only make these wheels
turn faster, right? If I could do all this stuff and everybody's going, what? If you had all that stuff, what? Then I can make the girl like me.
And that was so good.
And that's
that
great.
Was really good. It was like as vivid as I've ever seen it.
Right? So we're running out of time. So start it one more time with that beginning in mind, right? You're that kid that like,
Just as one principle that we haven't made it totally clear that I want you to take from this is with these kind of songs, and with a lot of songs, but it's so obvious in these songs. What you don't want to do is get ahead of yourself. You're only on the part you're on. You don't want to write the English paper that says this song is about frustration or something. It has to be about the actual phrase. Yeah. I can kind of buy that it's not about the actual word because people don't talk like that. You don't change your, usually you think of a sentence and then it comes out of your mouth. But,
well, you have a feeling and then the sentence forms and then it comes out.
Yeah.
So do that.
We're at 1 minute.
Okay, let's do one more try.
Last through this in 1 minute. All right.
Just do the last one.
Hätt ich tausend Arme zu rühren, könnt ich brausen ihre Fühlen, könnt ich fehlen noch alle Heide, könnt ich drehen alle Steine, dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn, dass die schöne Müllerin merkte meinen treuen Sinn. Ach, wie ist mein Arm so schwach, was ich hebe, was ich trage, was ich schneide, was ich schlage, jeder Knabe tut mir's nach, jeder Knabe tut mir's nach.
Great. So do you see how that story develops? There's so much that happens in that very brief period of time, isn't there?
Mhm.
Like you've got this, oh, if I had all this, then she could like me. But to tell the truth, everybody's better at this than I am.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and honestly, yeah, and the one place where, yes, you have to stay where you are in that story, but you also have to remember the way he solves it is by drowning himself in this brook. That's where, that's the world. And by song 10, you start to get a glimpse of him saying, if I were under the water and looking up, at least her reflection would be mine, right? And he's a poetic soul.
Yeah.
And that tells you a little bit about where you should be at the beginning of the song.
Or what he's like.
Or what he's like, yeah. Right?
Anyway, I think you have a real understanding of this. It's very unusual. So you should keep it up.
Yeah, keep it up. Learn the cycle and really dive into those words and enjoy it and realize, part of making this, when you do learn it, be you, right? And the more you are you, 22 right now, when you're you at 42 and you sing it again, your perspective on this boy is going to have changed entirely. So, and you can't go back to being 22. So be you while you're doing it, okay? All right.
Thanks for singing.
Thanks for singing for us. Beautiful job.
Thanks so much. All right, our next singer is Cora.
Laura, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, sorry.
Okay, it's Cyrillic.
Hi. I'm Cormelin Micah, and today I'm going to be singing Emily's aria from Our Town by Ned Rorem.
Can you make her on the
We
speaker,
can't
Tony?
see her.
We can't see her.
Oh.
Or Cora, can you speak really loudly and all of a sudden?
Hello.
She's trying.
You see her?
Hello.
I'm seeing her. Are we having some
Okay.
success?
Yep, I can see you. All right.
Sorry. Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. They said they could hear me. Okay.
For some reason, Zoom doesn't see it the way we do.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Cool. Take me back, take me back up you. Take me back to my grave. Wait anybody ever realize life while they live it? Every minute of it, every moment of it. Oh, Earth, you are too magical for anyone to know your miracle. Take me back up the hill. Take me back up the
There we go.
Good
Well
job,
done.
Laura.
Good job.
All right, Aria, you did great. Great.
Thank you.
So can you explain I confess I Googled and refreshed my memory of what Emily does, but maybe not everybody in this class has, so, and this is not so obvious.
No. Yeah. So
Can you
just
explain?
Oh, sorry. So, in this, it's the opera is like derived from the play Our Town, and in this story, I have lived my whole life and I've died, giving birth to my second child, and so I'm dead when I sing this song, and I'm like, and I want to go back to my 12th birthday party and kind of see everyone I loved, and because I kind of miss them, and then I'm kind of disappointed. I'm like, oh, we're not even enjoying life while we're there. And I'm kind of upset, and I'm like, please take me back. I need to go back to the grave. I'd rather be apathetic about all this, you know.
Okay. Well said. So
your idea is she wants to go back to just, she'd prefer nothing than this, or she wants to be back in heaven?
She wants to be in heaven, but it's like she's disappointed, and so she's like upset about it. I don't know.
No, I know. Yeah, I get it.
can you come up with not necessarily consistent 2 to 4 different emotions that she might be feeling? Like, what would you, besides disappointed? Not in context. I mean, just, I don't mean like you're wrong at all.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, sometimes she's disappointed, but sometimes we feel other things too. So, like, does she also feel pain? Does she feel tenderness? Does she feel gratitude? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think she does feel gratitude. I think she feels like I agree that she feels in pain. I can't think of anything other than what you just said.
She does say, wait, one more look, right? So she's undecided, hesitant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, she's indecisive. She's missing especially right at the beginning. She's missing her family. She's like longing for them.
So at the beginning, I mean, there are choices that we can make that strengthen dramatic arc and everything, but let's not focus on that right now. But at the beginning, the words that she says, she's mentioning a lot of specific things that, you know, goodbye to clocks and hollyhocks and
Mama and Papa, ticking clocks, gratitude.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
iron dresses. So that seems like perhaps we have a little bit of room to go in a slightly more tender start, perhaps.
Okay.
Well, I would just think about that, because the beginning of it is, it's, you know, you want the RA to grow, right? And I think if you make it a little bit simpler at the beginning, really less romantic in many ways, you'll be able to really, the end will even pay off more. It not only will, you know, be high and exciting, it will be emotionally overwhelming.
The part that we're not doing right now is I can't go on. It goes so fast, and she's crying, right? I didn't realize it goes so fast, and we never noticed. And that's where you are emotionally when you start, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of shocked, maybe. You change, right?
Yeah.
You thought this would be more fun than it was.
Mm-hmm.
Being a ghost at your 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Seemed like a great idea.
It's kind of weird that she'd go back to her 12th birthday party. You think she'd want to go back and see the child that she died giving birth to or something, but
Yeah. Or her wedding or something.
something, right? I know. It's kind of weird.
Apparently not.
Okay, so thinking that, right. So why don't you start at the beginning? The other thing is make sure, one of the things you can do to really make sure it sounds a little bit simpler at the beginning, like you're making a decision, is to really be sure you land right on top of those pitches. As it gets more romantic, you can scoop a little bit when you decide to, because it adds a little bit of, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. But we want to make sure that you don't do it all the time. So at the beginning, where you're coming up with the ideas, you're deciding to go back, make sure that you land right on top of the pitch.
Okay.
Cora, I'm looking at this score one more time. I have another idea that might contradict a little bit, or at least refine what we were saying. So she says, take me back first, right? So maybe that's kind of a flustered or whatever, like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. This is not a good idea. Let's go back. But then you say, wait, one more look. Maybe that pivots you to this slightly more tender moment.
Okay.
Because you see something that makes you say, wait, maybe think of what that might be.
Yeah, so think at the beginning, take me back.
Yeah.
Up the hill, take me back to the grave. Think of that as like a what do you call it? An orchestrated recitative.
Okay.
Right? And you're setting up, but wait, and then go into the aria.
And then you see, then the goodbye could be like, like to a loved world, right? You're singing to the world, goodbye world. So I would like you to make that switch during that emptier space with the less piano to I love you world, right? Goodbye, like you're saying goodbye to a lover. And then I really liked what you did with this. Anyone ever really realized I saw a really good change and a really, both in my ear and in my eye. That was lovely. And then I think that
once you get to O.
Then when you get to the C, the part with the, then we are really set up for something we haven't heard yet, which is kind of what we're trying to get. Like, this is so sad to you that it's tragic that people throw life away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you think is the main point?
Absolutely.
And remember, you're a ghost. So when you say goodbye, Grover's Corner or Mama and Papa, you see them. Why not? For real. Not just an idea of them, but goodbye Grover's Corner, it's there. Goodbye Mama, she's there. Goodbye Papa, he's there. All that stuff.
Really intimate, like a lover. That's what I'm kind of,
Totally.
like you're holding the cheeks,
Yeah.
Okay, let's try again.
Okay. Okay. Just from the beginning. Take me back up the hill. Take me back to my grave. Wait. One more look.
Hold on 1 second. I love that. Wait. Do the wait like I just did to you. You were a little bit too like, wait, kind of like, you know what I mean? It's actually wait with an exclamation point. Wait.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Before, that's funny, but before that, that was a really good choice.
Yeah.
It was very strong. It was like not over dramatic strong. It was like a little bit nervous, like,
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
do I do it? So that's really, keep that, yeah.
Do you want me to just start?
How about just take me back to my grave and then you can do the weight change?
Take me back to my grave. Take me back to my grave. Wait, one more look. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama, Papa, goodbye.
Hold on a second, Cora. Do that one more time and really take the advice that Julie gave about it being an intimate moment. That too much looking around and kind of, well, you don't want it to come across as like this, you know? Bye-bye. It's not that. It's like, it's really close and it's going to be, this is it. This isn't good. This is like adieu. This isn't au revoir, right? This is goodbye.
Even when she says mama, papa, goodbye, she says it with a dotted rhythm, like she can't quite, maybe she can't quite get it out. Mama and papa, goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me, kind of in its own way,
Right, lower.
but lower.
How about just goodbye, goodbye world? The bar.
Ticking clocks, to mama's hollyhocks, to coffee and food, to gratitude. Goodbye to ironed dresses, to George's sweet caresses, to my wedding ring, oh everything.
That's great. We're going to have to stop, but that's really great. And that, you know, it's so much when that becomes an intimate expression, something that is real to you, you can see it, it makes a big difference. And in that particular moment, I think another way of realizing it visually in your mind is think of what Eurydice, it must have been like being pulled back into the underworld. She was so close to seeing, and you get a glimpse, and right there with that goodbye, and still there's more, and you can still see a little bit, but you're not turning around and leaving. You're watching it disappear as you retreat into a different place. Yeah. And that might,
I like that better.
Well, it might make sense also out of the big volume change, right? Because you're farther away, so you have to say it louder.
Yeah.
No reaching for the, right?
Yeah, it's like, as if you were closer, it would be quiet and intimate, and then you'd just be gone. But this is that, right? Really beautiful. It sounds great in your voice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, terrific.
Thank you guys both.
Oh,
All right. Thank you so much. And our last singer of the evening is Frances.
Yay, my turn.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
You go ahead. I'm going to mute us now, okay?
Okay, so I'm Frances Bushman, and I'm from North Carolina, and I'll be singing Quil bel sogno from La Rondine. Il bel sogno di Doretta potendo indovinar il suo mister come mai finì. Un giorno uno studente in bocca la baciò e fu quel bacio rivelazione sulla passione. Un bacio così ardente mai ridir potrà. Si al fine rifiorita la felicità. O sogno mio, poter amar così.
Great job, Chris.
Thank you.
Are you a trombone player?
I am not. My daughter is a trombone player.
Awesome. We heard you the entire time and it sounded beautiful, but sometimes the connection was a little, I'm imagining a little bit because it got a little
Okay.
the sound got straight. But it seems like a beautiful piece for you. I'm wondering if the stuff at the beginning, which is, oh my gosh, you put that so far away. These phrases at the beginning that are all kind of like irregular. Right? Can you think of them as to themselves one utterance? You know, because it's not in time like.
Okay.
That's a different thing. But like, it's so tricky because the Italian language is so legato, but this is kind of has such a strong piano part. I'm a pianist, so I like piano, but it can get broken up, and I don't know if it is being broken up or if it's our internet connection. But I'll trust you to share with you. If it isn't the internet connection, can you think once you start that the sound keeps up until the end of the phrase? So, il bel sogno di Doretta potendo vino. And trust the pianist to follow you. I know that you also don't have a pianist. You and I are like in our collective imagination of this conversation. Yes. But can we try that? Maybe don't worry about the accompanist for right now. I'm gonna give you the. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So that's you're asking to do it like the language.
Do it in speech rhythm is kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
So whatever your voice feels good at, Puccini is like the best woman's clothing designer for the voice, right? He's only writes what makes you happy. If you're happy, that's probably right. So, you know, il bel sogno di Doretta potendo vino.
Il suo mister, ya-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da, whatever you like.
But always legato.
The pianist will be like, zoom, 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 whatever you want. Okay?
Okay.
So do it how it feels best to you.
Sogno di Doretta potendo indovinar il suo mister come mai finì.
Yeah, you know what's wonderful about that? I know it's so hard when you don't have someone there with you, but that brings out your personality. And it's just, and it is in what singing is. I mean, it's sustained talking, right? On a tune. And that's what you're doing right there. That's great. Feel free to do that. And anybody who knows the language will be able to
Right with you.
be right with you. It's all right in there. Okay?
That was really beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
I imagine it's easier with like a live pianist who can actually follow me, where now I'm having to follow the track. And
Yeah.
so that makes it a little bit more stiff.
It's backward.
So
For sure. That's not anything you can fix, but we can just do it without the accompanist for a second.
that's fine.
And so where were we? Ahimè un giorno?
Ahimè un giorno uno studente in bocca la baciò e fu quel bacio rivelazione, fu la passione.
That's gorgeous.
That's exactly right. It's kind of a recit, right? It's a recitative into this. Then you just
Did that passione, did it glitch after sio or not? It glitched in my
Maybe.
He's like self-grading. I graded myself and I don't know. Maybe this is go sione.
Okay. Sorry. Can I have the notes for Fu la Passione? Yeah. Fu la Passione.
I think that one's good.
Okay.
And then we have time for the.
Could you do that all one more time? From the beginning, chi bel sogno di Doretta potendo vino, right?
Il bel sogno di Doretta potendo indovinar il suo mister come mai finì.
That's great. Now, Matt, do that one more time, and let's use the horns behind you, the trombone and the trumpet as an example. So everything that happens up here in Italian, like, you know how they say make the L with the tip of your tongue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because when you're singing, your tongue, in order to have what you have heard a bajillion times, have an open throat. Now, if you think about it, an open throat means your tongue can't be in it, right? And your tongue can only go one way, which is up and out of your throat. And that's why it's in your mouth and it's moving up and down with your soft palate. So that's why the tip of your tongue is used, so that you don't flatten your tongue out and go like that, instead of keeping it where it is and just doing this with your tongue. So imagine yourself as a singer, as one of those those wind instruments behind you, and your words are just like putting that thing over the bell of the trumpet. Right? So make sure you're not shutting this off. That's what makes that legato sound. And just to be clear, legato means
Uninterrupted, like flowing, connected.
Connected. It means tied together, right? And what you're binding together is sound. Those voiced consonants and those vowels, and the unvoiced consonants happen like that, right? So make sure you're not stopping and starting, that it's all bound together. So just think, vibrate, 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 and your mouth moves around without interrupting that, okay?
Okay.
Even though you're articulating, but the articulation, again, is separate from this. I'd like to make sure I'm really, really clear about this. If you were to be able to live and survive with only this part of your head and everything else is gone, would you be able to sing?
Yes. No. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
no, you'd have no lungs.
Well, that's
Right.
true. But
Yeah, right. So this would happen. This couldn't vibrate then, right?
right.
So everything, all this vibrating stuff only happens because air is coming out. So don't let everything in here get in the way.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. And if you can hold two new ideas at once, there are question marks at the beginning. So this is like, this one, actually Nathan and I met sort of doing this opera. He had 2 lines. He said,
Esquisita, esquisita.
he didn't even get pitches.
No. I was a freshman in college.
He didn't get this role. This is a good role. His role, not as good. Anyway, I have no idea why this woman, she's kind of like a sort of like Traviata lady. She's kind of a
tart.
hooker with a heart of gold or whatever. Anyway, she sits down and starts playing the piano and starts asking the party people questions. And that's the beginning. Who knows who Doretta is? Nobody knows. Some chick named Doretta. So anyway, chi bel sogno di Doretta pot indovinare. Well, and they're all like listening to you
What
because you're
does she
kind
have
of
to
like
say?
the life of the party.
And then I'm over the corner behind you. I'll pop up on the screen and go, deliziosa, deliziosa.
Thank you.
Esquisita, esquisita.
All right, so remember that character-wise, and also, but also important. This.
Il mio sogno di Doretta pot indovinar il suo mister come mai finì. Ahimè, un giorno uno studente in bocca la baciò.
Stop right there. Do that one more time. Kim.
Ahimè,
Yeah.
un giorno. Ahimè.
This is a really good example. I'm un giorno, no. You don't need to go, I'm un giorno uno. There's no stop between giorno, no. Just keep that sound moving to the whole thing. Vibrate, vibrate, vibrate. Okay?
From Aime.
Yeah.
Uno studente in bocca la baciò e fu quel bacio rivelazione, fu passione.
Yes, and all of that talk about passion and kissing makes you go, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. I think I may could be a little bit more, oh, you may. Right? It's weird because it goes into un giorno, but you're saying,
Okay.
hey, un giorno.
Yeah, I felt like I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that word?
It's
like,
weird. It's weird because it goes into un giorno.
Yeah.
You would expect there to be kind of a release.
I think it's kind of a stylized swoon vocally. Like, and everybody goes, oh. And she kind of really likes attention, so the I may, oh no, I'm okay, I may.
Oh, I'm overcome by myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of like
You
that.
moved yourself.
Yes.
But she really is that way, which is sort of funny. She's not being insincere. She just is that. Okay. Do that one more time from there. And really, again, I know it's kind of a weird concept and hard to do over Zoom, but another way of thinking about keeping that all connected and always having the air flowing and not breaking it up at all is if you really anticipate while you're singing the note you're on, anticipate the one following it. And every consonant that you sing, think of it as on in the room, let's call it, of the vowel you're about to sing. It helps you anticipate all of that a little bit faster. We don't do that when we speak English. We cut it all up. We have lots of stops and starts. But in Italian, it's not that way. And if you imitate an Italian speaking English, you know what I'm talking about.
We've got about 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you.
It's like they think about we think about the first consonant to the vowel, and then we kind of get a little bit, we lose attention. But if you think about the vowel, the consonant to the vowel, but then what happens between the middle of a note and the end to the beginning of the next note, that's the thing that Americans, we have a hard time with. That's one thing I want to say. The other is this whole recitative, just to remind us, because I think you do the words really well. So I don't want to like pick on that. But you're saying, what's her story? What can I tell you about her? Well, I can tell you this. One day a boy kissed her, and that opened up all sorts of stuff. And then we get to the song, right?
Yeah.
So don't forget that that's the setup.
This whole thing that you just did was a setup. Yeah.
So that it has to get e fu quel bacio
Yeah.
fu la passione. Oh.
Yeah, well, are we out of time? I feel like
We are, but it was so delightful to listen to.
one thing that you'll really enjoy that also will help explain this whole language thing that she showed me that yesterday. I think it was fun. Just YouTube like 2-year-old Italian kids talking. It's the cutest thing you'll ever see. And they're like,
Kids speak
no,
Italian.
voglio mangiare pasta, you know, like that. And you get a real idea that, oh, they're not faking it.
Non può piangere, non può essere, non può far nulla.
And this kid's like 2 years old. No può fare nulla, you know. And you realize what we think of as kind of making fun of them when we say, oh no, you want this, I want that, is actually how they talk. And then we put it into the Italian when we sing it.
Awesome.
You
She's
are
like,
joy.
this is the strangest master
Thank
class.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Really beautiful.
Beautiful voice, beautiful woman.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks to all of our wonderful singers. Really beautiful singing. And thanks especially to Nathan and Julie for this masterclass. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your positivity with all of these wonderful singers. And I would like to open it up to, since we have a little bit of time before we have to go for the evening, but if anyone has any questions for Nathan and Julie, you can put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
We're all of different ages and stages here, but
I have a quick question, if you wouldn't mind.
Someone talking?
Yeah, this is Mia.
Oh, hi, Mia.
Hello. I was just wondering, do you guys have any general tips for singing in your passaggio? Because I always have trouble with that. It's like it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard for everybody.
And also, just to put it in context, I'm 16, so I'm still I know my voice is still changing. I don't know if that makes a difference to your answer.
One of the best things number one, remember that you should sound your age, right? Number two, the words should be understandable. Don't try to change vowels in order to make it easier, because part of that whole figuring out your passaggio business is being able to sing each one of those vowels correctly. When you'll notice, for example, what is considered healthy belting, if you have a good kind of support and hook up and all that business, all they do is they spread their vowels so that passaggio stuff doesn't happen. So keep those vowels clean. You'll notice that a passaggio isn't one note; it's a series of notes, and it depends on how closed or open those vowels are. And it's mostly about, like we had talked about, keeping this nice and released and allowing those muscles down here to really start to work. And as they get higher, they work more. And I mean, there was another question I think I saw in there. Someone asked about how do you sing low notes? The ironic thing about low notes, I wasn't sure who asked it, but
Yes, that's loose.
yeah, okay. Is that low notes? Again, don't think of them as low. The weird thing about low notes is when you do them right, they resonate higher. For whatever reason, you feel them buzzing in your face more. So instead of trying to sing low notes like that, actually just sing low notes like I'm talking right now, which is low, right? So I have a fairly low voice actually. So when you're singing, as long as you don't try to push anything down, those low notes will just come out. And they should
More
feel,
like speech.
they feel forward and resonant. More like speech.
It's important, singers, maybe you are aware of this, but it bears repeating. You really don't know what you sound like. And that's why we have these close relationships with coaches and teachers. But we are hearing things that you're not hearing. But in general, the temptation to say, well, I'm a bass, and so I'm going to start to do that, doesn't make you a bass.
Right. Well, you want to, in general, when singing, as from your point of view as a singer, it should feel naked. Because when it is that way to you, some people say, well, it seems so thin or whatever, just not resonant, all that stuff. To you, it may seem, I call it like naked, or that's white light. But when you feel that and it feels bare, naked, clean, what we hear is the whole rainbow of color in your voice. So what I should be hearing from each of you when you're singing healthily is your high notes and your low notes, even though you're not singing them. I can hear your entire range. You all know this when you listen to somebody who sings well. You go, oh, they're not topping out. They've got a lot of notes above there. Or I can hear all the low stuff, even though it's in the middle of the person's voice. But to you as a singer, you don't hear it. I'm always surprised when someone's listening to something I did on whatever, some recording of something. They say, wow, can I have a big high note like that sounds so baritonal and whatnot? But to me, it sounds mostly like high end, like that, because I'm not going by sound. I'm actually going by how it feels.
And the same thing can happen, oddly enough, the other way too. Like someone wants to sing like Rossini or something that in their mind is light and fast. Well, that's what it sounds like to the audience. That's not what it feels like necessarily to the person singing. And if they get off their body and start to kind of pretend they have a different voice than they do, they get actually pretty tired pretty fast. So what you have to learn is have a teacher that helps you understand what health, feel, and balance feels like in your own body, and let the audience be the people listening to you in the hall can judge if it's loud enough, if it's the right timbre that they want. That's really not your concern. Your concern is health and communication.
Yeah, and the more you sound like you, the more you'll be able to communicate. The more you try to sound like something or someone or have a certain idea in your head about what you want to sound like, that's mostly what you'll be communicating to people. And in my experience, you can be impressed by a person's sound for about 2 minutes, and then mostly you want to hear a story. And more information comes across when it's not mucked up with I'm a baritone or I'm a bass or I'm a high soprano or whatever it is.
Also different halls, which we haven't been in much this year. You get a certain amount of sound back from some halls, and some halls you don't. So it's really not wise to use that as your own feedback either. It really needs to be sensation.
I see things. I'm looking
I
at
can't read
questions
any
now.
of this. I have
It's like, what do you suggest for undergraduate? Come to University of Illinois, obviously. Graduate school, should you wait? It depends. I think if you're going into graduate school, like to get a master's degree, it's worth going. I mean, it's a two-year degree, and you can get a lot of experience singing on stage and doing recitals and things like that. If you want to get a doctoral degree, that's in my opinion, and I think most people's opinion, that's a scholastic degree. It's
completely different.
It's totally different. Then you have to do mostly book work.
Master's is practicing.
Yeah.
Practicing your craft.
And that's always good. One thing I would have liked to have known before I started a career when I left college. It was so long ago. I would have liked to have known that I shouldn't invest in Apple stock. Cell phones were going to be so big. Not to invest in beepers and fax machines.
When Nathan won the Met competition, he got $10,000, and we spent it on a computer that had dial-up internet.
There you go. You guys don't even know what that is. Yeah. Any advice for older singers who started late but finding their place in the world? Oh my God, that's a tough one.
You know, I read the other day about the guy who made his Met debut in Toronto at 85 years old.
Keep singing. I mean, look, I don't know how old older is, but everybody has a story to tell. There's plenty of music out there and plenty of parts. And if you, if you sing well and you have something to say, people will listen. My experience. And honestly, and nowadays with classes like this and the ability to post things online and auditions being done online, it's really leveled the playing field, and that's really great because all sorts of talent are popping up out of the woodwork that you otherwise would not have heard.
The gatekeepers don't have very much power anymore.
That's true.
We have enjoyed getting, you know, when we were learning our skills, or at least the live performance skills, you kind of had to go to a studio and pay a lot of money to some person you didn't know to get a good recording. Now you can get some very good microphones and a few light kits for, I don't know, $200 or $300. You could probably get what you need. And I would suggest that you make that investment. You can have a lot more control over your own artistry by doing that. And it can communicate to all sorts of people all over the world in a way that I don't know why we didn't know this 2 years ago, but we did not. So look into that. We have these light kits that we got that you can just pack up in a duffel bag and take anywhere. You don't really need that much help anymore. So that's a good thing. What else does it say? I can't really see.
I think I covered most of it. Undergraduates, graduate school. What is?
I think you got all of the questions. Is there any final wisdom you'd like to impart?
Looking at the students who are interested in both professors preparing students who are interested in both operas and legit musical theater, professional auditions. What mentioned breakdown?
Well, yes, if this is for someone that teaches at a university, we just found something extraordinary like the last 2 weeks. We had our first class of seniors. We have a new program called the Bachelor of Musical Arts, which is kind of like an updated voice degree where it has a little bit less European language and a little bit more dance and acting and a broader range of styles, mostly all theater styles. So at our school, you can major in voice or you can major in lyric theater. And they're all in the shows as they'd like to be. But it turns out there are these showcases through breakdown services, which used to come out of which does come out of casting directors on Broadway and movies and TV and agents. But basically, it's a free service to the universities, and you upload a showcase. And so ours went out today, actually. And our students are getting calls from agents like within 10 minutes of it going out.
It's easier for, it's basically, it's a free service because the people that put it up, casting agents get paid by producers, and the agents get paid by the people they represent. So that's all really kind of complicated. But for the person who's asking about those who want to do opera and musical theater, I find that we were talking about this today, this is a really beneficial thing because musical theater, legit musical theater, and some of the new stuff by like Janine Zazori and people like that, or Jason Robert Brown, where it's more of it's not so much pop singing, but it's just basic singing. They look for younger people. So some of the things that young opera singers maybe can't do because it's too heavy or the orchestra's too big or whatever it might be. Some of these musicals are really something that they can be a part of. And this particular service gets them right out there. It's a wonderful thing. So I hope that answers some of those questions. Anyway, so yeah, we're a pleasure to be able to do this for all of you, and sing healthily and be creative and be yourself.
Thank you both so very much. And thanks everyone for joining us this evening. I know Zoom is not the most exciting way, and I know we're looking forward to being able to sing in a room in person, but yes, it is great that we can be all over the world and in a lot of different time zones. So thank you both so much for this wonderful masterclass. And if you have not seen the cover story on Nathan Gunn, make sure that you check that out for the May-June issue of Classical Singer. Thanks. Sure.
It occurs to me that I just talked to them. We're going to have a breakout session for their theater in Illinois. They're going to be sitting on Saturday afternoon, 3 to 5 Eastern time. So if anybody wants to come by and chat and more detail about school or other stuff, be happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
We're just going to be sitting.
Thanks for that, and do check out. There's so many events happening in the next 2 days. Please check out as much of that. Someone asked for us to repeat that. So there is it's a session to visit with the school from 3 to 5 Eastern time on Saturday, and you can find the details of that on the CS Music webpage.
Julie and I will be there. Possibly other colleagues. Might just be us. But we're happy to talk about what we do in their theater versus online. Also, this is any questions you might have. Follow up on this.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, everybody.